Welcome to the Ross Stitches channel. If you want to know how this female pant is made, stay with me to the end of the video. Give me a thumbs up if you find it educative. Subscribe to my channel. Share my channels with friends and family. And I thank my subscriber.
So we want to look at the drafting of a pant trouser directly on the fabrics, and for this tutorial we'll be needing the measure tape, the measurements we'll be working on, the material, tailor's chalk, ruler, and the French cuff. So we'll be needing the waist measurement, the hip measurement, the tie round, the trouser length, the nail round, and the ankle round. To start with, I will take the length of my trousers. The length of the trousers is 40 inches. So I'll be taking 40 inches down. I'll be leaving 2 inches for my turning in. So I've already placed my material in fold. To place your material in fold, you will need to use the largest circumference, and the largest circumference on my measurement is the hip. The hip is 38. So I fold my material using 38 divided by 4 plus like 2 or 3 inches because of the crush allowance, about 12 inches on fold. That should be able to accommodate all my measurements. So after drawing out my starting point, which is also my waistline, then the next thing is to take the hip line. The hip line is usually 7.5 to 8.5 from the waistline. This will be my hip line. This is my waistline. This is my hip line. Then the next thing is the crotch line. And to calculate my crotch line, I'm going to calculate from my hip. The crotch will be 38 divided by 4, which is 9.5. Then 9.5 minus 1, because I'm sewing a pint. That is why I'm deducting 1 from the measurement. So 9.5 minus 1 will give me 8.5. Then the 8.5, I'm going to add his allowance of 0.5 inches, which will make it 9 inches. So I'll be marking 9 inches for my crotch. So this is 9 inches from the waistline, and that will be my crotch line. The crotch line. Then the next thing now is, so my nail line from the waistline will be 22 inches. So this is my nail line, 22 inches from the waistline. Now the next thing now is to start inputting my horizontal measurement. And to input the horizontal measurement, I'm going to start from the crotch line. On this crotch line, I'm going to input the hip measurement. And the hip measurement I'm having here is 38 inches. 38 divided by 4 gives me 9.5 inches. So I will be marking the 9.5 inches like this, and I will mark it down. So to create some ease, I can add 0.25 or 5 inches, but I don't want a loose pant, so I'm going to add 0.25 as my ease allowance. My trouser is going to have a band, so I'll be moving down from this waistline. I'll be moving down by 1 inches because I'm going to put a band, so I'll be moving down by 1 inch. So this is my new waistline. So from here, from this angle now, I'm going to input my waist towards this side, the waist measurement. I will input the waist measurement towards this side. And the waist measurement I'm having here is 31. 31 divided by 4 give me 7.75 inches. So I will be putting 7.75 inches here. So I don't need to put any his allowance on the waist because I want it to be tight at the waist. So I'll be taking 7.75 inches here on the waist. Then I will add my 1 inch dart allowance here. You can see that all I'm doing, I'm not adding any seam allowance yet. So all the seams allowance will go to the back. So now from the waist, from the new waistline, I'm going to square it down to the hip line. To the hip line now, not to the crotch line. The crotch cuff, I'm going to impute my tie round. The tie round I'm having 22. This 22 I'm going to divide it by 2, making 11. 0.5 inches seam allowance. So that will be 11.5 inches, 11.25 inches allowance. Then to create the curve, I'm going to place my tape rule like this adjacently and mark. The tape rule is 1.5 inches. So I'm placing 1.5 inches at this tip. So I'll be marking at this tip here, and that is where I'm going to create my curve. So there. So after creating the curve, the next thing now is to impute my horizontal measurement. To start with, I will first draw out my tie line, which is usually 3 inches away from the crotch line. So this is my tie line. So on the tie line, I'm having the tie measurement I'm having here is 22. 22, I'll be dividing 22 by 4. So I'll be having 5.5 inches. So I'm going to put the tape measure here at 5.5 inches. The middle, the center will be on that 5.5 inches. So to this side, I will measure 5.5 inches. And to this side, I will measure 5.5 inches to the right and to the left, or to the left and to the right, whichever. Then on the new measurement I'm having here is 15 inches. So this 15 inches divided by 4, I will be having 3.9 inches. So, or let me say, to make it easier, you can just round it off to 16 inches. So 16 inches here divided by 4 is 4 inches. So to this side, I'll be having inches, and to this other side, I'll be marking 4 inches. Then on the ankle line, I'm having 13. 13 divided by 4, that is 3.25. So to this side, I will be marking 3.25 inches, and to this side, I will be marking 3.25 inches. And now the next thing is for me to join all the lines together. So from here, I will join the crotch line to the tie line here. Join the line here to the nail line. Then from the nail line, I will draw a kind of straight line. So the same thing I will do to this side. Join the crush point to the tie point. Then so after that, the next thing is to add my seam allowance to the waist and to the ankle. So at the waist, I'll be adding 0.5 seam allowance band to it. So here I had, here also I'll be adding 2 inches. 2 inches. Yeah. So at the crotch, I'll be adding 0.5 inches. Then to create the darts, I will need to come down by 4.5 inches because of the seam allowance here. So I'll come down by 4.5 inches at the grain line. Then the 1 inches that I've added as a dart allowance, I'm going to share it between this grain line. So half to this side and half to this side. Then I will square the line to these 4 inches. This will be the dart. I hope we can see that. Then I want us to notice that when you are cutting the tip of your trouser, you don't have to cut straight down. You fold so that you won't have shortage at the hemi edge. So you fold before you cut it out. That I've done. So now the next thing is to cut out the back. So to start with the back, I've taken one of the front draft cutouts, then I'll pin it on the back fabrics. So in folding my fabrics, I fold to the extent that I'll be having more than 1.5 inches at the crochet, and I'll be having like 4 inches at the waist side here. Then I will have more fabrics to the top. The back pattern is usually larger than the front pattern as a result of the boot. So the next thing now is I'm going to transfer my lines. The hip line, then the tie line, and the nail line. So starting from the crotch line here, I'm going to go down by 0.5 inches. So at the crotch line, I'll be going down by 0.5 inches just as I've done here. So after going down by 0.5 inches, I will move out by 1.5 inches. So that will be my new crotch for the back. So the new crotch will be here for the back. Then at this edge here, I'm going to measure from the dark line or the green line. I'll measure what I have. I'm having 4 inches. So that 4 inches, I'll divide it by 2 and mark upward the 2 inches. So at that side, I will go up by 1.5 inches on that line, including the seam allowance. I've had this also. I went out by 1.5 inches because the seam allowance has already been included. So from here, I'm going to draw out a curve to join this line, and that will be my, I'm going to extend the waistline here. Remember that the seam allowance has been added, so I don't need to add another seam allowance at the top here. So I'm going to extend that waistline. Then after that, I'm going to measure what I have on the waist here. Here I'm having 9.25. So from here, from this point, I'm going to place my 9.25 to the extension of the waistline. I hope we can see it. So I'm now going to draw a line. I will square the line like this. So the next thing now is to draw out the curve, the back curve. So to do that, I'm going to come out here. I'm going to work on this line. So I'll be putting my French curve to this line, and I will be joining like this. Then I will match it to this edge here, the line I'm having here, allowance here. I'm going to add ½ inch seam allowance as well. Then that is that. Then to this side, there's no seam allowance added to the front except from the cross line. So at this side, I'm going to add 1 inch seam allowance. That is half for the back and half for the front. So at the waistline here, I'm going to add 1½ inch as well. Then on the cross line, I will do the same thing. So I'm going to add that 1½ inch down. So then to this side also, I'm going to add 1½ inch as well. So the seam allowance to both the front and the back will be 0.75 inches. So the next thing now is to create the dart. Here I'm having 4 inches, so I'm going to take 4 inches here and draw my parallel line. The line will be, it won't be as straight as this, it will be parallel to this line. And I'll take 5 inches downward. Then I'll share the 1 inch for the dart, ½ inch to this side and ½ inch to this side. So I will now square it. I have this. So after drafting out this dart, I will remove the front and I will cut it out. Now after cutting out, this is what I have. The next thing is that I will notch the essential lines so that when I'm working, I'll be able to match it. So the first thing, I will notch the dart line for both the front and the back. Then I will notch the tie line. I will notch the tie line for both the front and the back. I will notch the nail line for both the front and the back. The next thing is to put the back aside. I'm done with the back pattern. So the next thing now that I'll be doing to the front is that I want to remove any excess that usually occur at the cross line. And to remove the excess, I'll be going down at the cross side by 1 inches. So here I'll be going down by 1 inches. So that 1 inches, then I will now join the line to this edge like this. And I will cut it out. After cutting out, then the next thing is for me to draft out my pockets. So for the pocket, I'll be going in by 1½ inches here. Then this is my tie line. After going in by 1½ inches here, I'll be coming down by 6 inches. Whatever measurement I want to come down, it must not be more than my hip line. So I'll be coming down by 6 inches here. So I will draw a kind of curve. Then for the pocket, you can take like 3 inches. This is a cross line. I don't want my pocket to be more than the cross line, so I can take like 3 inches. So from this place to this place, I'm having 9 inches. So, and I'm having from here to the that line, I'm having 4 inches. So the extension of my pocket will be 4 by 9 inches. But first I'm going to cut this out. Cut out the pocket. I'm going to be using 5.5 inch for sewing allowance on both sides. So I will draft out 5 inches by 9.5 inches. That will be the half inch for the sewing at the edge. So then the next thing now is for me to cut it out. The next thing is I will notch this edge. That will be the bottom part. Then I will open it up. Right side will be facing right side. So the 9 inches side is the length of my pocket. So right side facing right side and wrong side facing wrong side. The 2 inches that the 1.5 inches that I've cut out from the front pattern, I will now place it on this like this. This will be the edge and this will be the bottom of the pocket. So after cutting like this, I will now fold like this and I will notch this place again to know the center. So after that, when I open up, this is what I'll be having. So by the time I sew round, I'll sew this way and sew this way. This is what I will be having. This will be my pocket. So with this I can create a sort of curve here at its edge. So I hope you can see. So this is the 2 pockets. The next thing now is to cut the zipper shield. And to cut the zipper shield, I will first align my cloth like this. The standard zipper shield is usually 2.5 inches by 7.5 inches. So I'm going to cut 2.5 by 7.5, and if that is longer for my fabrics, I can then adjust. And after cutting, I will make a sort of curve at the edge like this. I will now cut the shield. I will cut the shield in fold. The shield is 8 inches by 2 inches in fold. So I'll be marking 8 inches. Then I'll be marking 2 inches. So this is the shield and the zipper flyer. Lastly, we'll be cutting the band. So to cut the band, I've cut out a strip of 4 inches by 18 inches. And what I do in order to have this is, the waist I'm working with is 31. So I added like 4 inches to the 31, making 35. I end up cutting out 36 inches. It is in fold. If you measure everything together, you will have 36 inches. You will have 36 inches. So because it's in fold, that is why we are having 18 inches. I don't believe that the band should be straight. If not, I'll just fold it like this and sew it. But I don't want a straight band. Okay. Here I measure 3 inches from this side. Then from here I'll measure 3 inches from this side. So I'm having alternate side. From this side I measure 3 inches towards this side. From this side I measure 3 inches towards this side. So now from this side again I'm going to go in by 6 inches. So what I will do now is I'm going to join this line to this line. Then I will join this line to this line. So if you just have a curve ruler, you can just put your curve ruler, but if not, you can use this method. So after joining that, then I will now measure 3 inches from the line. 3 inches. I'll follow the line to mark out 3. Now join all my lines together. Then and I will cut. So after cutting this, what I have. So this will be my band. This place will be the center back for my band. So when I'm joining, I'm going towards this place as the center back. So I'm going to cut another one for this, which will serve as a facing for this. So I will do that.